just for Mr. E, because you are very close to positioning yourself in a way that most of the community is going to absolutely hate you for like the rest of time. And I just want to talk about that as arguably the most hated person in the Darktide community. But I doubt many people are going to care about that, so I'll save that for the end. So I want to go over this video because I truly think this is the most misinformed video on Darktide ever. And something I have to point out, I think that this video, I mean, just read this. I only have about 80 psyker levels. I mean, there you go. He does not play this class at all, and it's very apparent, and I'd like to explain why that is.
This game because they
So first off, Perilous Combustion only gives you 3 stacks. Keep that number in mind,
you haven't
please.
spent any extra time on them. They just kill off screen basically.
Yeah. Get to the
ways
warp
of spreading this through wildfire.
Wildfire, gain up to 4 stacks. Excuse me. Okay, so you need 6 stacks to kill a Poxwalker. Right? Keep that in mind. You need 6 stacks. 4 stacks is not enough to kill a trash mob, which means you need to kill an elite, get 3 stacks of Perilous Combustion. Kill another elite, get 3 stacks of Perilous Combustion. Then kill a trash mob. That spreads 4 stacks of Wildfire, because that's all it can spread. Then you need to kill another guy to spread those 4 stacks. This is so much effort when a Purge Staff, Venting Shriek, or Trauma Staff just all kill with 1 action. Wildfire is an awful, awful node, and like no one is taking it. It is just not very good.
Wildfire propic. And then, we got abilities and stuff.
So now we skip straight to the blitzes, because from here until the end of the video, it is just completely, like, I just think he doesn't play this class enough to know at all what he's saying, frankly.
And if you go over 100% peril, you explode and you die or you go down.
So he just explains how peril works and how he doesn't like blitzes because blitzes take time and peril, which is just weird because so do the grenades on the other classes. They take time to pull out, pull the pin, and throw. You could just do things while they're cooking up. Psyker has to take time to pull them out and charge them and spend them, but that's no different than a grenade.
Abilities also consume peril. So you kind of have to make it.
You actually want to have peril gained. You have multiple, you have Venting Shriek, you have Warp Rider, you have one with the Warp. 3 of Psyker's best things, just best nodes in general, and they all require some level of peril.
Choice. Do I want to throw a sails or do I want to use my staffs? And oftentimes the
Okay, but have you considered that you don't need a sail and staff to do the same thing? You can use the Void Strike staff specialized for killing elites and specials, and you can use a sail for killing hordes. That's good. Like, that is strong. And you're right, they are mutually exclusive. You have to choose which one you're going to use. But as long as they're not filling the same role, it doesn't matter.
choice is just one or the other. There are very few builds that can effectively weave using one of these blitzes with anything else.
Because you aren't supposed to do that. These blitzes aren't grenades. You don't drop these at your feet and then while they're cooking do something else. They're way too strong for that. Imagine if you could smite while running around with the dueling sword and using venting shriek. It would be absurd. It would be legitimately overpowered. It would make nobody would want to play the game like that. Have 2 psychers that can constantly keep up smite while running around and killing things. Nobody would ever have fun playing the game again. So they're situational tools.
So if you were a smite psyker, 9 times out of 10, you spend the entire game just smiting. If you're in a
Keep that in mind. He's keep that in mind. It's going to come up later.
sales psyker, 9 times out of 10, you spend the whole game just throwing a sales and waiting for your sales to come off cooldown. There are a few builds that can weave some other attacks into the gaps between when you have a sale charges, and I think that's fine.
Actually, the gaps are a lot larger than I think you're willing to say. Sorry, I had to just tab out there for a second so that I didn't get disconnected
But
from
it
the
does end
game.
up taking a lot of your time to throw out all these sales. And Brain Rupture, I think, is the
It really doesn't. Throwing out a sales takes like 4 seconds, I think, and that's all like 9 of them.
worst offender of the 3.
Yeah, because Brain Rupture is the most specialized of the 3. So I just want to put a situation in front of your head real quick. Let's say you're back like here, right? And let's say there's a horde you're meleeing in front of you, right? And then let's say there's a sniper over there. So you finish meleeing the horde, you have not that much peril, and you have nothing to do. So now you just like boom and boom, brain burst. Okay, there you go. That guy's dead. No, neither you nor anyone else has to worry about dealing with them. There you go. Brain rupture, brain burst, whatever the fuck you want to call it, fills that niche. And it fills that niche very well.
Pops a single enemy's head, but it takes a long time to do it, especially if you don't want to tech into Empowered Psionic.
Yeah, so you pre-charge it with the right click, then slide off the drop down and spend it on the first elite you see with the left click. It's not like you could do anything else with that time. That just gives you something to fill that gap.
So the problem that I have with these talents is that you end up with two sorts of builds with these blitzes. Either your entire build revolves around, or most of your build revolves around being a smite psyker, being an assail psyker, or being a head popper,
One
and you
second.
don't do anything else, or you literally never use these abilities and you spend your whole time casting or
And there you go. This is where the level 80 psyker brain is taking over. This is just a really bad take in general because, first off, I'd actually say that's good game design on Fat Shark's part. The fact that you have constant abilities that are strong enough to be built around and still be fun and like useful builds, while also being completely ignorable so they aren't suffocatingly overpowered. Like that to me sounds like good game design. Strong enough to build around and strong and not strong enough that if you don't want to deal with them, you don't have to. You're looking at it as all or nothing. Why can't people do multiple things? Why can't you use a thrusting sword specifically to kill crushers, a void strike staff specifically to kill long-ranged elites, and a sail specifically to kill hordes? And then you just swap to whatever you're doing at the time. Why can't you just play it like that? It's like you didn't even consider that as a possibility. Why can't you smite when you need it, when like Scrier's Gaze goes off cooldown to lock a bunch of enemies in place while building some peril for the next gaze? Like it's just, it just doesn't make any sense.
or shooting or stabbing or whatever else it is you do, and these are just dead on your bar because they take so much time to use. Because that second resource that psyker has that all classes have is time. In many other classes, their blitz ability, blitz is literally like a warfare term that means like hitting hard and hitting fast, surprising the enemy.
I don't think the name of the mechanic should really like have any bearing on, especially considering this is the only class where this is the case. I think that's just a really silly thing to say, and he makes another incredibly silly point like that when he talks about Scrier's Gaze. We'll get to that later.
The Zealot's immolation grenade comes out in less than a second, and it lays down this damaging area on the floor.
Yeah, but as a result, immolation grenade is arguably weaker than smite. I mean, think about it for a second. Immolation grenade does like nothing versus armor and kills the weakest enemies that you already kill super easily. Like, you only use the immolation grenade to kill trash. Okay, well, I would rather have a sail than an immolation grenade if I was gonna use a blitz to kill trash mobs. So like psyker has higher power blitzes on average when they need to be used.
The psyker has an area of effect, damaging effect in smite, but he has to stand there and hold.
So this is just a weird comparison. Like, I said smite because like it's kind of splitting the abilities here. Smite is purely crowd control that can also do AoE damage, but it does like okay damage to everything. Whereas Assail is specialized for killing trash mobs, which is the same role as the immolation grenade. You're not going to kill a crusher by smiting it to death, just like you're not going to immolate a crusher to death. This whole argument is just weird.
His hands out the entire time, so you can't do anything else for those 10 seconds, versus the Zealot, who gets that immediate benefit of having that immolation zone, and then he can be melee, he can be saving allies, he can be doing whatever else.
Sure, but again, since you're only going to immolate the weakest mobs, the same things that are absolutely super killable with Assail, you could also do just that. And then Assail isn't needed. Assail doesn't need to have immolation grenade while you're running around meleeing, because Assail's doing the work of that, just built in. It's just so weird.
So these really lock you down. They really force you into playing one sort of way, and I don't know if I necessarily love that. What I do love about the tree, however, moving on, is that the tree is super interwoven. You can like get across this thing in many different ways.
So this is weird. We're gonna skip ahead for a second.
Compare that to let's go back here. Compare that to Zealot, who has like the ugliest tree possible.
First off, the psyker's tree is actually a little bit less interconnected than before. They added a few like trash nodes that stop you from going straight left to right. Second off, dude, the Zealot tree is only like this because like imagine if you lifted this up and just dropped it here. And you could just go near. You'd save like 5 skill points that you could put into whatever you wanted. This would be like giving Zealots plus 5 skill points. Do you not think that would break the game completely?
Look how linear this is. You have to do this column, and then if you want to get over here, you have to go all the way across and go down this column. And then
yeah, but that's because Zealot has to invest to get all their power. Like, if you could have throwing knives cover for the flamer while having duelist increase all your damage, while having shroud field, and you didn't have to pay a points tax for that, you'd be dealing with, like, the best build in the game. Dude, a lot of people already consider that the best build in the game, and, like, that's with all of this point taxing. So imagine if you took that tax away. You'd be dealing with a god build.
So on and so forth. There's very little choices. I would love to see a revamped Zealotry that has some of that psyker interconnectivity where you can, like,
They would have to nerf a lot of the zealot nodes then to make up for the fact that you're saving points.
go here and then go over here and, like, get to different. But you were like locked in, and it's why you see so many builds using Blades of Faith, because these are the good talent.
Well, actually, you see a lot of builds using Blades of Faith because Blades of Faith is better than the other two grenades. So Blades of Faith in a vacuum isn't better than a Stunstorm grenade, but the game doesn't exist in a vacuum. Blades of Faith take away the only weakness of the Flamer. And the Flamer is like top 3 best ranged guns ever to exist in the entire, like, 2 years the game's been out. So, like, Blades of Faith allow you to use the Flamer with 0 weaknesses, so you can exploit that overpowered weapon, which covers the Horde clear weakness of using the knife with Shroud Field, which allows you to, like, one-shot bosses and everything else, or Thunderhammer, or whatever you want to use. So this allows you to absolutely mega specialize every single part of the build. And if you don't take knives, it doesn't work.
For a Zealot, even though Blades of Faith is not as good as the other two grenades. All right.
Yeah, in a vacuum, the individual impact of throwing which is crazy because the individual impact of throwing Blades of Faith can be higher than an Immolation Grenade. Immolation Grenade kills what? 30 trash mobs? A single Blades of Faith kills an Elite Gunner. I think one Elite Gunner or a Sniper is way more dangerous than those trash mobs. But I would agree with that for Stunstorms.
Let's go back to the place we're actually talking about, which is Psyker, because I messed it up twice. So, interconnectivity is nice. It allows us to get down here. We got these 2 new wings out here. This left wing,
I want to make videos breaking down these whole wings because I think they're vastly misunderstood and underrated.
I haven't really yet found a use for it. My problem is
Wow, that's crazy because there's a brand new Psyker meta build that is just like left click as much as possible, bind Peril Quell to left click, so you automatically do the Quell cancel tech. So you do staff shot with the left click, immediately Quell, and immediately end the Quell, and then you do another shot, and it skips the, like, little hand reel back animation, and because the startup of the next attack skips the Quell animation, you're double animation canceling to save yourself. You get like 30-40% more fire rate. And again, it's okay that you don't know that or don't do that. But don't call it a meta review, then double down in the comments.
this first one requires you to fully charge a secondary staff attack, and then you get bonus to the primaries.
Again, one of the meta builds right now, Trauma Staff, fully charge, knock everything over, take like a quarter of their health off, then left click with Surge. Like, it is very strong. It's very easy, it's very fun, it's very mindless, it's very strong.
The only one I can think this is useful on is the lightning staff, where you lightning one time and then
What?
use the left clicks, which are pretty strong to do 30% extra damage.
What about the Trauma Staff, where the boosh knocks everything over?
But, generally, you don't really need that extra damage, and you have to take Perilous Assault, which I think is a...
More damage is always better than less damage. I don't even know where you're getting this idea of you don't need the damage. Buddy, if I could have a 30% damage bonus just for doing things that I was already doing, you better believe I'm always going to take that. Why do you think every veteran build takes the 30% headshot node? You're already going to only go for headshots as veteran. That's just 30% 3 damage. You always want it. What do you mean 30%'s not a whole lot?
Dead node that does nothing for you in order...
Not true. This node is actually kind of really strong in Gaze Psyker, which I plan on talking about later.
to get there, because Psykers are not really swapping their weapons very much anyway, right?
So this is where we get back into my suspicion that he just doesn't play the class a lot. Yes, if your perspective of Psyker is a class that sits in the back, does nothing, and then just holds its staff and just throws out spells, then yeah, I totally understand why you would think this. But Force Sword, Dueling Sword, Knife, Scryer's Gaze, 50% movement speed, on top of move tech? Psyker is a frontline class, dude. They can get in there faster than everyone else, do more damage than everyone else, and stun more than everyone else with the Trauma Staff. And oh, what do you know? By doing that stun, you make them take 30% more damage. Oh, isn't that interesting?
They just kind of hang out on the staff most of the time or whatever. And then Empiric Shock is the opposite.
This node is crazy, by the way. This node is absurd.
I can't imagine a situation in which I would want to have to attack an enemy 5 times with left clicks in order to then right click them. That's so much time investment.
So you're really close to like actually really solid logic and reasoning here. I'm not even gonna lie. It wouldn't normally be a problem, yes, to build up to cash in damage, but we have Surge, which applies to the left clicks. So you're actually applying 2 of these. Every attack does 10% more damage than the previous attack. And that on its own, just like 1 or 2 reps of that buff, is enough to make you get headshot crits for like 700 damage. Surge doubles it. Now you're getting like 1400 headshot damage with the cancel tech for attack speed. So you're attacking like... From his perspective, psykers just sit back and throw out their staves. From my perspective, psykers run in, stun everything. That's stun, 30% more damage. They do quell cancel tech to attack twice as fast as he thinks they can, and always apply another damage buff on top of that. So from my perspective, this is a 40% damage, just like nuke, that attacks way faster than he thinks it does. And if you've never played like that, or never played with anyone who knows about that to play like that, you're not going to know that's a thing. So I'm not going to fault him for not knowing it, but I will absolutely fault him for calling it meta.
And most of the time when I'm right-clicking enemies, with like a Void Strike staff or something, they're dead to the Void Strike staff. They don't need an extra 30% damage.
This is true. And this is why Surge used to be kind of a meme on the Void Strike staff, because that second fully charged Void Strike shot was nothing but overkill damage on 90% of your uses. However, Empiric Shock, Surge, Force Staff, like, this all just synergizes. These 2 nodes created a new build that can keep up with Scryer's Gaze and, like, Venting Shriek Trauma Staff. Like, the creation of these 2 nodes, plus Quell Cancel Tech, created a brand new meta build. People have more options now.
Damage taken. This could be good for bossing. That's about it. Over here on the right,
30% base damage is insane for bossing. You get a 30% damage buff from that. You do the Quell Cancel Tech to double your attack rate, so you get effectively double damage from that. And then you get another 30% from Empiric Shock. So you're attacking like twice or 50% as fast, whatever. I don't know the exact percent. You'll have to forgive me. You attack 50% faster. Each hit does 60% damage. And now you get double hits. Oh my god. The DPS of just left clicking has gone up like 250%.
we have some questionable perks. I don't like they tried to kind of weave these 2 nodes in here. They seem to be focused on melee psyker stuff. And melee psyker, I'm sorry, it's just not a thing.
What? Excuse you? What did you just say? What was that? Melee psyker is not a thing? Then, okay, why? So we just throw some of these shards out here, get a couple kills going, get the shards coming back. I screwed that all up, sorry. So we throw out some of these shards, get our peril up, go over here, drop this. Those guys are dead. They took 6 stacks. That's going to give us warp charges. And now we just go in, melee, melee, melee with those melee buffs. And then we throw more of these while we're not doing anything. Go over here, slide, kill some of this, get our charges going. We're about to rethrow out another thing that kills the horde, so we got to build peril. So we throw this out, kill another horde like that. Oh, there's another horde spawning running at us. Do that. 6 stacks is enough to kill them. Hopefully we put all 6 stacks on there. Then we go back, killing this stuff. Like, looks pretty good to me, dude. I don't know. Look, I have all my charges again. My ult's about to come back. I'm ready to cast the ult again. Every cast of the ult can wipe an entire horde on its own. And then while you're doing that, you get all these buffs to one of the highest damage melees in the game. And you can, like, even without crit, like, one-shot virtually everything. I don't know, man. Seems pretty freaking good to me. Oh, you can also stagger the crushers? Like, wow. I don't know, man. That looks pretty gosh darn good to me, dude.
Psyker doesn't have the stamina or the toughness regeneration to...
Are we playing the same class? 7% toughness on Warp Kill. 5% toughness for Peril Quenish. So casting this gets rid of 50% Peril. There's like 25% toughness. Throwing these is like 5% more toughness. Then these get warp kills. Every single kill you just saw is 7% toughness. And then you can get these to quell you on kill which then gives you another 5% toughness. And then every time those bouncing crits, that gives you 5% toughness. Clicking this button gets rid of 50% peril. And, 50 or 5% 10 times, that's 50% toughness you just gained right there. What do you mean? Oh, and then you have this. Replenish 30% toughness every time you gain a warp charge. So yeah, you see all those little things in the bottom while we're doing all this that we're gaining? So look at that. I mean, look at all the toughness we'd be gaining right now. We would go from 0 to 100% toughness in like 2 seconds flat like this. And then as far as stamina goes, have you heard of a stamina curio? May I interest you in a fine stamina curio, my good sir? To take advantage of your fast stamina regeneration? I don't know. 5 stamina bars is more than enough to play with for just about every build.
Or like the toughness damage reduction to be in melee combat effectively at all. They're going to get caught out. They're going to get stomped on. It requires so much skill to play melee psyker.
We're going to get to that later. Don't worry. But this reminds me of that time Real Asian Robot told me in my stream that Gun Psyker is theoretically the perfect build, but requires so much skill to play that nobody could ever really pull it off. In a stream where I was playing Gun Psyker as the top person on the leaderboards, and I was like, damn, bro, that's crazy. I'm glad you think I'm so good I'm doing things that no one could ever do. I'm glad you have such a high opinion of me. Then he stopped making darktide videos.
And you know what? If you want to play melee psyker and have all the damage of Scrier's Gaze and stuff, one, you should just be playing a ranged weapon and be using Scrier's Gaze instead. But also, just go play Zealot. They're going to do way more crits and do way more damage in melee than a psyker ever could. With way.
I don't think that's true. I think Disrupt Destiny, Scrier's Gaze, Melee Psyker, I mean, again, let me just tab back into the game for a second. So we all know the knife with Shroud Field is really, really good, but can I just point this out? Like, this does a shit ton of damage. And that's without a crit. That's without any of my charges, any of my warp peril, and this weapon isn't even I'm not even using the blessings that I have on it. Because you can do shit like this. You can do boom, bam, boom, bop, boom, bam, and then this will kill these guys if you do it correctly. And mind you, that's without any. Literally, that is just the sword. No blessings active, no skill tree support, and it still kills this stuff in 3 hits. You fully activate Gaze, Destiny, both your blessings. This can consistently one-shot crushers if it crits. It could do 7k damage to a boss in 1 hit. So no, it's very fun and good, and there's no reason if it sounds fun to you, you can just play that. It'll be great.
Less skill investment and with way less risk to you. Then we've got.
I do agree with that. Shroud Field automatically lowers the risk, but I like to live dangerously.
This one's okay. 100% cleave also applies to range attacks, presumably. And that.
You know what it also applies to? It also applies to these. Where is it? Sorry, my inventory is. Why are they all fucking force staffs? I think I was playing around with the mark changing. Dude, sorry, I'm all over the place. Oh, I'm a fucking idiot. They all say force staff void blast. Sorry, okay, I'm not used to the new update. Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm not used to the new update, okay? Cut me some slack. But anyway, with enough cleave, you could actually make this punch through crushers. So that's cool. With that node, you could make these go through crushers. I can't believe that was such a fucking stupid blunder. Why do they all say force staffs? Oh, gee, I don't know, Tanner. Maybe because they're all force staffs, you fucking idiot.
That can be fine, based on your peril. And then Soul Drinker is also an okay blessing.
Soul Drinker is actually really good. You would use it in all Scrier's Gaze builds if you didn't have to take this node to get to it. It's just dead by build placement.
You have to go through 10% melee attack speed, which is fine, I guess. But generally, this is for casting with the staff and spreading soulblaze. And it's really nice because those.
Excuse you, what? No, you use this for critical hit chance, if anything.
Those builds like Void Blast, they want that crit chance, and it's a great way.
Void Blast never really wants to specialize on Soulblaze. Soulblaze is a nice bonus for Void Blast.
Way to regenerate toughness. Then we've got 3 auras here. This left one on the right is whatever.
No, it's absolutely terrible. 7% damage against elites is garbage. You need it to be at least 10%. so that certain thrusting weapons can reach new breakpoints. Anything lower than 10%, and you reach virtually 0 breakpoints, it's not even somewhat useful. It's literally a do-nothing talent.
It's kind of the default one. But the middle one and the right one are great.
Yeah, that is
Every
true.
class or every team is happy to have one of these. 10% CDR is just so insane. If you have a minute cooldown,
Yeah,
this is 6 whole seconds. If you have a 30-second cooldown, it's 3 seconds. Not bad, right? I'll take that for free. And then 5% crit chance is also super nice. Think about this. You're an Ogren, but the best one,
we're just gonna skip because I don't really have
I
anything to
think,
say
is one with
about
the warp.
this section.
This is our soul toughness damage reduction node.
So something I have to point out: one with the warp is active even when you have like no peril, and 33% toughness damage reduction is not bad. Zealot's one of Zealot's best nodes only gives him 50 for having bleed applied, or for getting crits. I'm sorry, and like okay, this is almost that good.
In the whole tree, basically. It's pretty much an auto include for most builds because, again, these are all interconnected and you'll be getting done this way. So one with the warp is a great pickup. And it gives you toughness damage to just stay on the offense all the time.
We're
To
skipping
space,
this. We're
to give yourself
skipping this.
space. And then the toughness
1607.
replenishment is just absurdly good.
Okay, here we go. Here we go. This is the part I wanted to talk about. Sorry.
Telekine shield with the dome.
Oh boy. Telekine shield with the dome is bad most of the time. It is not never bad. It is almost always bad. This, I remember the era about a year ago of real Asian robot dominance where he was constantly telling people to use smite plus the bubble. And that was literally my inspiration for starting to upload videos on this game. And the reason why people were so susceptible to that was because Maelstrom was still new. And people were absolutely overwhelmed because this difficulty was way harder than anything that came before it. And people were just like, whoa, I cannot process all these variables at the same time. So Smite and Shield Psyker became very valuable for a very significant portion of time. However, it has been a year since then. And you know what? Most people tend to agree with me now that this build is actually, in hindsight, really not good. Because now that people have adjusted to the difficulty, they're like, yeah, why would I want to stop and sit in the bubble?
All right, you all knew what I was getting to. This is the best ability.
Oh, I knew. It's like an M. Night Shyamalan movie. You know the twist is coming and you're dreading it.
Right here in the center. Telekine Dome with the toughness replenishment is just absurdly good.
Replenish 10% toughness each second is not absurdly good. Do you know what is absurdly good? Popping this to generate like 20 toughness or 20 peril a second, to combo it with this to crit on every hit with an autogun in long bursts that quell peril every second. So you get 3 crits per shot, so that means in 1 second you have done 3 shots and you have generated 15% toughness. Meanwhile, this generated like 20% peril, so this is giving you like 8% toughness. And then you're doing that like 3 times a second, and you're generating like 50% of your toughness back every single second, while also having all the damage of this and an autogun. That is absolutely absurd.
It is why you want to have a psyker on the team, hands down.
Oh god.
Because no other class.
Listen, I'm going to refrain from making my comments on this.
Brings this sort of utility. This is their defining ability.
I don't think you know what the word utility means. This is motherfucker, this is a bubble. You place it down and it gives you some toughness back. That's all it does. And it also blocks bullets. Utility is something that has multiple uses. If this like increased your reload speed, maybe gave your outgoing damage a little bit of a boost on top of regenerating your toughness and slowing enemies inside the shield, okay, now we're talking utility. Now we're talking something you can run in, drop this, and actively benefit from. But honestly, he does a good job of explaining why this is bad himself, believe it or not.
And I'm always like, please let them have Telekine Dome every time I see a psyker in my group. Because what you can do with this ability is just replenish everyone's toughness, keep it topped off, really easy.
Barely, but okay.
Reduces chip damage, blocks enemy range attacks, and this act is like a forward bastion.
Okay, here we go. This is the part.
So like you'll get caught in a choke point or something. Everyone's afraid to go over the drop down because there's a ton of enemies down there and you're gonna have nowhere to go. You know, there's no cover to get to unless you push through all these enemies. Ta-da! Now there's a bunch of fucking cover. Get to it.
Okay, I have a picture here. So you all are familiar with this, right? You have this hallway, and then there's this drop down here. So, he is suggesting that let's say there's like 5 elite gunners and 2 Ogren gunners down there. He is suggesting, okay, you push through the choke, make that drop down, drop the shield. Or, may I make a suggestion? We stay back here and use this for cover. use these little walls here for cover. And while we do that, we fight back and kill the gunners from our high ground position with cover. And then we make the drop down. And we skip all of that bubble bullshit. Mm-hmm. Thoughts? Thoughts, guys? Thoughts? Opinions? Because to me, that sounds way better. Because what happens if a boss spawns? You place down the bubble, boss spawn. Maelstrom modifier, Elite transforms into a boss. Beast of Nurgle forces you out of the bubble. Well, now you're in a drop down with nowhere to go, no cover, and you're getting shot at. Wow, that sounds terrible. What if behind the corner that you couldn't see was a pack of 5 crushers and 5 maulers? And now they bum rush you and you're stuck at the drop down in the shield. And, whereas before, if you had fought those guys from up there, you would see that those crushers would come out and rush you, and now you can pick them off during the ascent when they're stunned. You guys know the assassination mission, that Medicaid right before the, airlock? And there's, that huge church area, and there's that drop down by the Medicaid. Imagine if every single time, instead of just staying up there and killing everything in the room, you always just rush straight in. Dude, that's how you lose games. If people take your advice here, you are going to cause so many Maelstorms to just bust immediately that it's, kind of annoying.
Crazy louts. So this is amazing. It's got a really short cooldown. You can reduce.
No, it doesn't. It has a 40-second cooldown. It just factually doesn't. The average cooldown of an ability is 30 seconds. 7 out of, the 12 abilities in the game have 30-second long cooldowns. Scryer's Gaze is a 25. The longest is 60 seconds, the shortest is 25, and the average is 30 seconds. 40 seconds is weirdly long for a cooldown. That is just factually wrong. That just tells me you don't know what the average ability timer is, which, I know this sounds a little nitpicky and hostile, but it's come on, man, this is a meta review. You have a video where you title it 1500 hour player. Dude, you have more hours than I do in this game.
To cool down even further with... Oh, did I skip over this? Psykinetics.
Yeah, you skipped over the best passive in the entire game. But hey, man, everybody gets one. I blundered on the 4 staffs just a minute ago, so everybody gets one, like Spider-Man.
This aura here is, if you're coming this way, take this.
And I need to say something about this. He doesn't understand why this is good.
Because 5% cooldown for everybody in
So I'm going to let him talk.
Coherency is amazing. This allows everybody to get their abilities up faster.
Right.
And it scales with difficulty, right?
Yes.
Because every elite and specialist kill, the more of those there are, the better. You're going to kill 10 of those in 10 seconds on higher difficulties. So this is going to be a crazy cooldown reduction, and it's going to allow you to have Telekine shield up faster than the cooldown professional duration actually expires. So you can just dome, you can just go from dome to dome.
He's so fucking close. This is why it's so frustrating. He's so close. Okay, we're gonna go in game real quick, and I need to point out a synergy between this and this that I've never seen people other than me mention. So look, we use this. We're at 20 seconds. It's not ticking down. And look at how long we can extend this. We can be in this for 30 seconds if we want to be. But look, I kill elites. Do you see how the timer is ticking down? This works for book zealots. This works for Ogryn charges. Things that don't tick down while they're active and giving you their benefit work with Psykinetics Aura. So look, you can just straight up go from gaze to gaze and just never have to worry about it. Because as soon as you get into gaze and get the crit chance with the new nodes, you're going to cool yourself down, immediately. So you just do this, you do a little bit of this, you let the cooldown tick, and then you go back into gaze, get all these crits, immediately reset your cooldown, and oh look, now you're benefiting from Disrupt Destiny, Scryer's Gaze active ability, and Scryer's Gaze finesse stacks that only activate after it's done. This patch made Scryer's Gaze was already a top 3 best build in the game. This patch made it legitimately overpowered. It's stupid how good this is now.
Dome all day. All right, so that's enough gushing about Telekine Dome. Please bring this, guys. But do Telekine
Please
Dome.
don't bring this.
I want you to do. Here, this is my build shout out right here.
Oh, am I gonna play this on stream?
Go and get yourself a Void Blast staff.
Okay.
Okay.
I have one of those.
And then bring me. I want this cooldown reduction.
Okay.
And I want you to take Psykinetics Aura. And I want you to bring Telekine Dome. I don't care what else you do.
Okay. All right. Playing a Void Blast staff without a very good method of horde clear sounds a little suspect, but we'll do it. We'll do it. I will play this on stream, sure.
But bring that stuff and just bring that into my game and help me out. That would make me win so much more if all my psychers did that, because Void Blast is just sick. Oh, and yeah, put soulblaze and stuff on it too. Okay, that's what's my.
Oh, okay, and put soulblaze and stuff on it too. Okay, I don't know what Keystone we're. I guess we just don't take a Keystone with this build. But okay, all right, sure. Okay, we'll play this on stream. Keystone list, Void Blast, Shield Spam, Psyker. I don't know about you, but that sounds like a wonderful build.
Build recommendation real quick.
Beautiful.
All right, and then we got Scrier's Gaze.
Okay, all right, here we go. Tell me all about it.
Now, Scrier's Gaze. We're gonna pause here for a second
Okay, all right, we paused. This is such a shitty show.
because I got issues with you, Scrier's Gaze.
Oh, okay.
First of all, cool. I like damage. However,
I like damage too. I'm glad we're on the same page.
the what do I want to say? The fantasy. That's the perfect word for it. The fantasy is
Bro, I don't need to hear about your kinks, okay? I just need to do more damage. Okay, I just need to run fast and do more damage than everybody else. Fantasy starts and stops there. I don't need you to go on.
not there, right? When you activate Scrier's Gaze,
Okay.
you are going a psychic or psychonetic Super Saiyan, right?
Okay.
You gain a huge damage steroid.
Correct.
10% damage, gaining up to additional 30% damage.
On top of the 30% finesse, on top of the 20% critical chance, on top of the 20% movement chance, on top of the 20 or the constant gaining of toughness. Yeah, you get a
And you
lot.
gain 20% crit chance. And with this node here, which you should generally take, you gain an additional 30% finesse damage. So you are just fucking slapping when this thing is going on.
True.
However, when you activate this ability, nobody on the team knows you activated it.
I don't give a fuck. They'll know by my goddamn scoreboard. You know, I don't care.
Other than things might die a little bit faster.
No, you know, just everything on the map just falls over and dies. I mean, other than that, they really don't know that you're activating it. I mean,
It doesn't even really have a cool effect when you use it.
oh, okay. No, I got you. We're gonna take this. We're gonna take this, and we're gonna put it on the psyker, and there you go. Scrier's Gaze is gonna go from a D tier ability. Where did he put it in his tier list? He said it was like a D tier ability or C tier or whatever, and it's gonna go up to an S tier ability. That's what I'm hearing. We're just gonna slap this on that, and that's gonna fix all the problems.
When you use it, right? There's like no feedback at all for this ability. It's good damage,
Okay.
and that's it. The only
Wow, I don't know, man. If I could just click a button and get 30 seconds of like triple damage, I think I'd want that on every single class. I don't know who wouldn't want to do that. I mean, I'm sorry it doesn't like burst out my chakra or whatever you want it to do. You know, it's like this is just such a silly complaint. Like, who cares?
only other node to write home about on this one is Warp Unbound.
What? I think this is one of the worst nodes in the entire Psyker skill tree. If you're killing yourself with Scrier's Gaze, then like change how you use it. Don't waste a skill point on it. I don't know why you would ever take this because Scrier's Gaze can't make you pop. Only you throwing a blitz and or using a staff at the very tail end of Scrier's Gaze makes you pop. But like, okay, just don't throw that. Give it like a microsecond for it to end, quell, and then go back to what you were doing. Like, it's just such a silly thing to need a node for.
Because you can just free cast when you're 10 seconds past the time where you cap out on Scrier's Gaze, and free casting isn't bad with a lot of the stabs. However, this has like very little impact on the situations where the game.
Who cares? Like, genuinely, who cares? honest to God, who cares? How is this any different from just quelling, pressing R for like 2 seconds, dropping like 40% peril, and then clicking? That saves you an entire skill point, man. Like, that is so much better than this.
Is the roughest, right? And this is something that I'm going to say about Psyker is that I rank Psyker,
Okay.
It is amazing damage, but I rank it weaker than the first two classes I talked about because
Zealot and Vet? You think Psyker's weaker than Zealot and Vet? Oh, dude, I know some people that want to rip your head off for saying that. Psyker is one of those classes that theoretically is like the strongest class in the game.
It does not have a very big toolkit for, oh shit, everything is coming to murder me. What do I do?
What? Dude, I'm not going to have any stacks of Disrupt Destiny here. I'm not going to have Disrupt Destiny, nor am I going to have stacks for, like, anything. And apparently I'm not going to crit either. But I don't know, man. This seems okay to me. Doesn't seem that bad to me, bro. Oh, there's seven. Quick! Jiminy Crickets! There's 7 Ragers running at us. What do we do? No, I got you. It's all good. It's all good. I got you. G Wilkers, mister. Oh, wait, hold on. What does he say? What stupid thing does he say here?
If a pack of,
because he says something really
let's
dumb.
say 20 Crushers comes at you as veteran, what do you do? Well, you shout, and all of them lay on the ground for 6 seconds.
True. Big if true. Very true. Big and true. I have a video, very big and true. Nice nice callback to this.
And you throw your crack grenades on them while they're on the ground, and then you start shooting
True.
them with your plasma gun, and they're probably all dead within
True. That's what I did.
10 seconds.
That's what I did in my video. Dude, that's what I did. That's the thing I did.
If a pack of 20 Crushers comes towards you as Zealot, what do? Well, your icon, and you stagger them all for like 20 seconds while your team does all the damage.
Why can't you just do that with Smite?
Or you charge into them and you are invulnerable for like ever, so they can't even kill you, even if you do get hit. There's plenty of ways. Oh, or you drop a stun grenade, right? You can drop a single stun grenade and they're all stunned.
True.
Or for seemingly eternity with a stun grenade, right? There's so much stuff you can do.
Come on,
as
dude,
those
get to
two
the
classes
point. You're dragging.
to turn the tides on a completely fucked situation. The psyker could turn on Scrier's gaze and do some damage, do some extra damage, but if anything frontline between them and those enemies, those Crushers still get to you. They are still fucking you up.
Okay. Have you seen this video before? Because Psyker is definitely not defenseless here. Dre saw my video and made his own version. I don't know, man. It seems pretty good to me. But have you considered that the ability that you write off as bad might not be that bad? That was probably the worst fucking showcase. Clip that. Clip that and call me an idiot. But you build up some peril, and then boom, and then they push over, and like, sure, it's not a long stun, but it is a stun. It does knock them over. It lets you get to a good position to fight them. I don't know, like, I'm just saying, it is something you can do. And then you consider there's the new blessing on the Inferno staff. I don't have it, but where they get like 70% rending with those stacks, and they all die really quickly. Like, you could do that. That works. So we've got, you can, if the book is a valid answer, then so is Smite. The Venting Shriek is a valid answer. Just killing them with Scryer's Gaze is a valid answer. I don't know, man. It seems like they have answers to me.
You can smite them, but smite isn't going to kill them. You're going to hold them in place for a while, and that's about it.
Just like you would with the Zealot book. You said that was valid. Why isn't that valid?
And then Telekine Dome is really nice until all the enemies come inside the dome and start beating your ass, right?
It's almost like the dome isn't that good.
And then Venting Shriek over here isn't much help either.
There you go. You spotted it. He's just spotted it himself. Why it's not good. Yeah, what do you do if you have the dome and Crushers run in and start beating your ass? What do you do? It's almost like that's why you don't take it.
So let's touch on this last ability. Venting Shriek is
one of the best ultimates in the game.
Such a weird ability. Like, obviously this used to be the ability that was like,
dude, your channel is weird. How about that? How about that?
All psychers had to use this because there was only one ability in the game, and it does get rid of your peril so you can cast more, but that's generally not like that useful. The only use it has is...
Didn't you say the only thing psychers are good for is sitting in their little bubble and like being a sentry gun and just casting more? I don't know, man. It seems like it's good by your own definition.
Putting soulblaze on enemies through creeping flames, and...
So, here's something he doesn't mention.
Honestly, in my approximation, if they took this ability, Venting Shriek, and swapped...
So, I understand that you don't understand this, so I'm just going to do you a favor here, and I'm just going to show you this. If you have maximum stacks of this, right, keep this in mind, and then you boosh these guys, you're going to see that 6 stacks is like the perfect amount to kill these guys. See? Isn't that weird? It is the perfect amount to kill these guys, right? So you build up to 50 peril, you know, by throwing your shards or doing whatever. And then you like go all the way over here and you're just like boosh, like it's Skyrim, and all that stuff is gonna die. You know, like all that shit is dead. They just don't know it yet. And because of that, that enables you to use this. Because you just boosh on like a Maelstrom horde of like 50 guys. We'll get to this when we get to this. How about that?
With one of these blitz abilities and made it like, oh, it's your ability to throw out, you know, you shriek and you send out a volley of assails that seek for enemies. Remember
I was supposed to have this set up. I was supposed to have this set up beforehand, but I completely forgot. I wanted to make 2 packs of 50 enemies just to showcase this. But let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 assails. 9 assails do not even manage to kill both of these packs. Whereas, boosh! One of these can pretty comfortably kill both of these packs. Because everything within 30 meters, look, it even kills some of these guys over here. Everything within 30 meters gets like the exact amount of stacks that it needs to die. So, like, no, if this just threw out 90, or I'm sorry, 9, dude, if it threw out 90 assails, it'd be fucking amazing. But if it threw out 9 assails, then it would suck. Because do you know what assail can't do? Assail kind of sucks here. It's not that good. It really sucks here. It sucks here. Kind of sucks here. It's not the greatest versus these guys. It could be okay versus this stuff. But, you know, or you could just boosh. And something else you don't mention at all, which I can't really show because I don't have the mod installed because I just, like, re-downloaded the game and I forgot to reset this up. But soulblaze stacks at, like, 15, 16 stacks. Or, I'm sorry, it caps at 15 stacks exactly. These 6 stacks allow you to overcap that 15. So I guess I can try to showcase this a little bit, but it's really not going to be very good. This is nowhere near the standard of quality that I would like to show you. Bro, where the fuck is Inferno? Okay, there it is. But let's just, like, go over to this guy. Slur, racial slur, racial slur. Okay, let's just go over to this guy. And you can see how he's ticking. He's ticking for 190 there. Right? He's ticking for 196. Now look, 261. That is a gigantic jump in damage. Right? Because if we just do this and put on, like, what, like 7 stacks like this, he's taking for, like, 12. And you could see 45. Like, look, we are way over 6 stacks. So I don't know. This is just, like, not common darktide knowledge. But every stack, it, like, increases the damage of the previous stack by a little bit. Stacks do not scale linearly. So 6 stacks overcap ends up being, like, a fucking, like, 50-something% damage increase to all previous stacks. Like, combined. We go from 196 to 261. That is a gigantic jump. And as you just saw, the first, like, 10 stacks are less impactful than those 6 bonus stacks. Which makes it so that, like, you know, like, you see what I'm saying, dog? You know? All this stuff synergizes together.
Vermintide 2, Vermintide 1, or Vermintide 2, depending if you're Waystalker, and you're Kerillian, and Kerillian can, her ultimate shoots a volley of head-seeking arrows, right? And you would just you would have it on cooldown, and you shoot it off into the distance, and it would go kill a couple specials for you.
So that ability was absolutely terrible. The actual Vermintide meta there, if you were going to do harder things, was to use the special arrow that on headshot instantly came back, and then you would dance with the boss, and as they would slam down, you know, you'd take their eyes! And that would do a shit ton of damage, instantly refill the ultimate, and then the Waystalker and the Bounty Hunter would just do that, because if you were going to play, like, Hyper Twitch mode, you would have to have a Bounty Hunter and a Waystalker to deal with, like, the triple or quadruple boss spawns. They would take a boss, then the teammates would take the third boss, they would start wailing on it, and the Bounty Hunter would dash back, you know, Sigma! And get his ultimate mostly back because of the double tap bug. Kerillian, you know, would be like, take their eyes! And she would instantly get it back. So you would have Kerillians just go like, take their eyes, take their eyes, take their eyes, take their eyes. Each hit doing like 15% of the boss's health. That's what that was good for. Actually just shooting out the arrows, it was like one of the weakest ultimates Kerillian had.
Just make that ability assail, and then you can press the button and assail can launch a volley of assails out, and they can go and seek for enemies and kill them.
How does Trump say it? No. Wrong. No. It's not good, dude. That would be a massive downgrade.
And then you've just done that. And then your blitz ability could be, you know, doing this vending shriek. I think that would be so much more impactful.
What? I don't think he thought about that at all before he said it. So wait, you're complaining that venting shriek isn't very good, and assail isn't very good because it takes up the same time. So you're saying make the passive venting shriek the thing that's instant, and make the ultimate assail, which would still take time. You'd have to click it, the assails would go out, and then I guess you just do something while the assails are bouncing, but the assails would be killing everything, so there'd be nothing to do. It's like you're saying these things aren't good, and your suggestion is to swap their place on the tree effectively? Like, we all agree that's just a silly little goofy thing to say.
You could see that the psyker is doing something, right? You could be like, oh,
Why do you need to be seen? Do you have like some unresolved childhood trauma, my friend? Did your parents like not give you attention? Like, do you? I it's. I'm sorry, I'm saying this more jokingly, but it's like his criticism of Scrier's gaze. Nobody knows you're doing it. Okay, who cares if they know that you're showing off and doing a bunch of damage? Who cares if they know that you're pressing venting shriek or not? It doesn't affect them. They don't need to know. It's visual clutter at that point.
okay, like we're getting overwhelmed. Like there's too many specials in the fray. Psyker, do something. And they shoot all these assails out, and they go and they hit all the priority targets in the area, and they make your.
God, if only a sail worked like that. God. Actually, there is a way to make a sail work like that. It's called right click. You have to do this. This makes a sail work exactly like that. But you can't exactly do this if you're going to shoot out a whole bunch of them, yeah? You see the issue here, yeah?
Situation way better, right? Something like that. Or, they could take venting shriek and make it like actually do a stagger and a knockdown like voice of command does.
Well, it already does do a stagger, it just doesn't do a knockdown. Again, I don't think you've ever played with this. I think you have played with bubble and nothing else. Because if you actually played with this, you would know that it does exactly what you're suggesting. Boosh. There you go. That's a stagger. And then if we look at what it does on everything that's not a crusher, we go over here, it does knock them down from very far away, actually. So like, and then if we go over to these guys, look, it staggers these elites and specials as well. So it does do that. You would know that if you've ever used it. That's like one of the key. There's literally a penance. I'm getting loud. I need to calm down. There's literally a penance and a Steam achievement for knocking like 10 guys off a ledge with this, dude. It's like so ingrained in the ability.
This is just such a limp ability to me, even though it has a nice synergy with some casting stuff.
A nice synergy? Dude, it's broken. It has an insane synergy.
Okay, let us put some more calming music on here. Let's do Dermot.
Yeah,
All right, finally, we're down into the Keystone areas
yes,
here.
please. Talk about
Keystone,
these.
on this left talent tree. If you are a caster on the staff, go into this tree because we've got Quell Speed and we've got Empiric Resolve. This is
Oh boy. Okay, this is where I need to say something that's going to lose a lot of people. So Empiric Resolve is actually probably one of the worst passes in the entire game. You actually, minus peril generation is actually low-key a bad thing. So, right. There's a player called Beef, and there's another player called .nl. They are some of the best psychers probably in the entire world, if I'm being honest with you. And they kind of pioneered this meta that you actually want high peril. Because there's no penalty to having like 80% peril without overcapping. If, let's say you always sit at 80% peril, but you don't overcap and die to it. There's actually no penalty for that. And you need to be at least 50% peril for this to work. So, let's say you're going to play Soulblaze Psyker, right? Think about this. So look at how slow I'm building peril. I'm never going to reach 50% peril to quell and get all my stacks to overcap the stacks to get the biggest damage bonus. Like, boom. If I had, like, actual, like, team auras going and I was, like, killing stuff, So, there's a situation like this right here. Like, just look. Where we get, like, look, we are about to get there. But boosh. I didn't have full stacks there. But if you're going to actually play, look, I stopped casting for literally like a picosecond and I almost missed the window. There's no penalty if I was generating more peril here. I could generate like 20-30% more peril there for literally no penalty, but a higher bonus from Warp Rider and one with the Warp. So if I used Empiric Resolve, I would actually be missing my Venting Shriek windows by like 20% of the time. I would be missing that timing by about 20%, and I would be getting 30% left toughness back from all of the starter nodes that you take. So you are tanking your defense, and if you're playing well, you're tanking your offense too.
This is a high-risk, high-reward sort of thing. You're going to regenerate 30% less toughness. That includes all toughness regeneration, including Telekine Dome regeneration and metal regeneration.
All of that.
But you get 40.
You make every single first 5 skill points you spend 30% worse to generate 40% less of a resource that you want to be generating in the first place. because generating it and losing what you've generated is what is giving you that toughness. So you're generating less peril to gain less toughness, to quell less peril, to lose less toughness, to also take a hit to your toughness gain. So it's like double dipping on getting fucked. You're generating less peril, which generates less toughness. And then the peril you do generate, the toughness you gain from that, is giving you less. I think Empiric Resolve, whoever made this node at Fat Shark, has zero idea how Psyker is actually played. This node sounds like a good idea, but if you've ever actually tried to optimize Psyker, you would look at this node in horror. Genuinely, you would look at this node in horror. Honestly, this should say minus 40% peril generation plus 30% toughness replenished. See, this is how you can really separate those who know from those who don't know. Because 40% minus peril gen plus 30% toughness replenish, that still might not get picked in min-max builds. Oh, it would be fucking fantastic for like lower hour players, you know, like level 80 psychers, wink wink. It would be great for them because all they do is their staff and they have troubles with peril. But when you recognize that the end game bottleneck for psyker is actually not having enough peril to benefit from venting shriek, like at maximum, you know, effectiveness, that's when you're like, ah, that's the trick.
percent extra peril to work with, basically, right? So you can just cast and cast and cast all day, as long as you are staying safe, which is pretty easy to do as Psyker a lot of times.
Well, yeah, if you sit in the back of a bubble and just throw out Void Strikes, it is pretty easy, but that also means you're not contributing a whole lot now is it?
That's a perfectly fine trade-off. And then we have Warp Siphon, which just gets you cooldown reduction and some extra goodies.
Okay, I mean, 7.5% cooldown reduction times 6. So, you know, like, you know, like, God, like 50-something percent cooldown reduction. It's not a lot. It's only like 50% on top of the 12% you get from Kyrios, on top of the 10% you get from Seer's Presence, on top of the 5% every kill gives you. Nah, it's nothing, dude. It's just a small amount.
Every time we get one of these charges, and then, you know, when we use our ability, it takes all our warp charges and our cooldown is cut by a certain percent. You can have up to 6 of these if you take this node here, and increases your damage.
Increases base damage, by the way, not just damage, base damage, which means all damage, which means like dots and stuff as well. Wow, that's pretty good.
Or if you take these nodes, it decreases your
no one really takes Inner Tranquility.
reduction.
So right here, replenish 30% toughness over 5 seconds. So that's like 5%. Or no, I'm sorry, that's like 7% toughness a second, or 6% toughness a second. I'm stupid, sorry. 6% toughness a second per second, on top of gaining like 5% toughness every second you're casting. And then gaining another 2.5% every, across, or I'm sorry, 5%. So, right, so you get a warp charge. That's 6% per second. You use Venting Shriek. That's 50% right away. I'm sorry, that's like 25% right away. And then you kill like 7 things across that from doing all those things in the first place. That's 7.5% per kill. Okay. That's balanced. That is not going to lead to a crazy situation.
Gives you toughness. Now, I think the best thing to do here is take Infire Reborn.
I don't actually know how to put... When I first saw this, I actually left a pretty toxic comment on his video, I'm not going to lie. Because when I saw that he said this was bad and you should just use Bubble, and then he recommends this.
With this, because it's a 10% chance, that's not bad. It's really easy to apply Soulblaze to lots of enemies in this game, and I think this is the best.
Did you, my Habibi, listen to me, brother, listen to me. How do you think you apply the Soulblaze in the first place to set up the Soulblaze kills to make that work? Habibi, my brother, Mustafa Shalal. You get it from that. There you go. Now they're all Soulblazed up. Now you get those kills. He like recommends doing this. Sitting in a bubble, doing this, and putting Wildfire on it. And then trying to like get, you know, kills like this to spread. By the way, killing this, look at this. These guys didn't benefit from the Soulblaze spreading talent. So, like, we're talking a talent that spreads it in, like, less than 3 meters. And this, which can only, like, you have to aim at the floor to gimp your damage to like have a like 1 in 2 chance to apply it to a few enemies. Or alternatively, you could just boom. And now look at that, like 70 enemies all have soulblaze on them. And then if they die with that soulblaze, you still benefit from it. You use this once. So let me explain the loop to you for those who don't know. You use this once, it applies enough stacks to guarantee a kill on everything in the Maelstrom Horde, which is like 50 guys, which procs this, which gives you all of these. So you consume all of these. You use this, consume 6 of these, plus Sears, plus you should be using all CDR on combat ability regen on all your trinkets. So you're going to have a 16-second cooldown on Venting Shriek. And then you use this to apply enough soulblaze to kill all 50 guys in the Horde. They die. Those give you these stacks back, which sets you up by the time they're finished burning. So by the time they finish burning, you throw out, this shit or whatever, or you do your staff, and by the time they finish burning, right, you're ready to go again. And then you boosh again, boosh. And then it consumes the 6 stacks that you just made from that. And then it's back to like 12%, or I'm sorry, 12 seconds. And then you just loop that. And that's how the psyker gets insanely good horde clear while focusing on single target like this. See what I'm saying? So recommending to take Infire Reborn without Venting Shriek, you're saying that people should take a node that gives them a 10% chance to get it back on Warpfire kill without taking the thing that guarantees that you get Warpfire kills. Because 3 stacks is not enough. So even if you use Soulblaze and Wildfire, Perilous Combustion and Wildfire, Jesus Christ, I'm stupid. Perilous Combustion and Wildfire. So even if you use those and you kill an elite and it spreads it to like 7 guys, and then you kill one of those guys, you're still like not putting on enough stacks to kill, and you have to hope that no one else gets these kills while you're doing this rigmarole. Meanwhile, the psyker who's actually good at the game just pressed this button once every 12 seconds and applied it to 50 enemies that are all going to die. So taking this without this is like, it's almost like you like copied someone's homework, but you just like didn't understand it. You wanted to add your own flair that bubble is super good.
Keystone to go with the best build, which is a Void Blast Psyker, like I was saying earlier, Void Blast, Psykinetics Aura, Seer's Presence, or Prescience, and then Telekine Shield Dome with a Warp Siphon. That's going to allow this dome to be up all the time. You're going to be...
How? But how are you going to put the fire on to get the stacks in the first place? You don't have Venting Shriek, which is how you put the fire on. Perilous Combustion and Wildfire are perks that are nice to have and increase the overall synergy, but it is not the main combo.
Knocking enemies down and putting Soulblaze all over them with your stupid blasty staff. You can just be like...
Stupid blasty staff, which one? Trauma? Because Trauma knocks them over. Void Strike hardly knocks many things over unless it hits the ground, in which case it does no damage. You have to choose between knocking them over. So do you mean Trauma or do you mean Void Strike? I mean, we're talking about the meta. Let's get specific, Bob.
The sentry gun inside the dome, and no one's going to complain about having that on their team.
There it is. In his opinion, Psykers sit in a dome and just cast staves. Okay. Well, that certainly explains this. I wouldn't want to play more than 20 hours with Psyker either if all I did was sit in a bubble and, cast with a staff. That sounds boring as hell, dude. You probably bottomed out on most of the scoreboards doing that, and you were probably bored out of your mind. It was an ineffective build that was super lame to play. Here, listen, dude. Add me on Discord. My Discord name is the same as my my YouTube name. I'll coach you. I'll coach you for free. Okay? I'll coach you personally, and I'll do it for free. And I'll show you how to play Scrier's Gaze. And then you're going to say, holy shit, this is really good. Or Venting Shriek. Take your pick. And we could get you off this bubble nonsense, this bubble chicanery.
And then you could, there's plenty of ways to get Soulblaze and get that. So,
I like how he has to backtrack immediately. Just like, trust me, there's just plenty of ways. Such as... Because if he actually had to rational it out, so you're going to kill one elite, and then you're going to kill the guy next to it, and then you're gonna kill that guy next to that, and then you're gonna have barely enough to kill like the 7 guys around that, and then you're gonna let those guys die, and none of your teammates are gonna kill anything and interrupt this process. When you say it like that, it just sounds silly. It just sounds ridiculous.
Infire 1 is definitely way better than Psychic Vampire.
I agree. However, if you're not using Venting Shriek, you have to use Psychic Vampire. There's really no way around it.
Generally, like 10% on most enemies is way better than 4% on all enemies.
Ah, yes, the I'm brand new to this fallacy on the internet. The bigger number is indeed better than the smaller number. However, I don't think you read the words that came before them and thought about how they synergized with the things you're also saying. Yes, you are correct. The bigger number is better. I will give you that. That is right.
Although it does apply to allies and coherency, but generally we want to be the ones killing.
Wow, that's almost like that's kind of a big deal. So you need to 3 kills from allies and coherency is 12%. 1 kill with warp fire is 10%. So that means for every 3 things your allies kill, you need to kill 1. That means you need to add up all the kills your allies make, and you need to be doing more than a third. And that third needs to happen with the warp fire for that to consistently outpace it. Do you think you're going to do that without Venting Shriek? You're not even going to come close, my dude.
Enemies, and we are because
If you get the scoreboard plugin mod, excuse me, get the scoreboard. Here's what I want you to do, Mystery. Get the scoreboard plugin mod and set it to show your warp fire kills. And then don't play with Venting Shriek. Play the exact build you suggested and show me a screenshot of how many warp fire kills you got. Post a video about it. How many warp fire kills did you get? I'm willing to bet under 150. And then do another run with Venting Shriek using it on cooldown, and I bet you get 350 warp fire kills. And then you're going to say, wow, that is a lot more, and that makes that node better. So it makes what you're recommending better.
we're blasting them with our big old staff. Okay, in this middle tree here, one node to call out is Warp Rider.
Warp Rider should be in every build. I saw Extreme Dre not take Warp Rider, and me and the people in the Discord call were chuckling about it because they're like, Dre, that's silly. Come on, don't do that.
This is really great on all builds.
Yeah, it's just 20% free damage, dude. Which synergizes with this 30% free damage, which synergizes with this 30% free damage, which synergizes with Surge, doubling this because you shoot out 2 of them, which means you get double benefits from all of this. So this becomes 40%, this becomes 60%, this becomes 60%. Wow, it's almost like it's a really good build.
Here's the thing about Psyker. You are, even though there's so many nodes in this tree, you are almost always going to have extra nodes that you don't know how to spend somehow.
Bullshit. Bull. Absolute bull. Dude, the bull is making sounds in the pen right now. Okay, we're just going to go through this real quick. We're just going to make a standard staff psyker real quick. Okay, we're going to get these kills, so we want this. We definitely want this as some damage bonus when we kill elites. We want this because we're always going to be quelling peril. We want this because we're always going to be generating peril. Maybe we want this because, 10% chance. Okay, we need this to cover our weakness versus snipers. We need this because this is just the best node in the game. We need this aura. We need to go down here. He said it himself. You should always take this. Okay, we need this and this. Even if you were going to grab bubble, you're spending 3 skill points here, so it's the same thing. Then we go here. We don't really care about our quell speed too much. We'll make it a normie build. We'll say we take quell speed. Then we take this. Then we take this. Then we take this. So now we take warp. We take our armor. We take this. We take this. And then we take this. Okay, we have 4 points. So I don't even know how he gets to the 5 points that you never want to, be spending. We just made a very obvious, very basic standard build, and we have 4 points left. Okay, well, now let's grab free 20% damage. Well, now we have 2 points left. Okay. These 2 points can be tricky to spend. Do I grab Wildfire for more synergy just to spread Wildfire just to get this? No, the answer is no, you never do that. Do I take this so I get crit on movement speed? Do I take this? Do I just go with the crit package and take these 2 for even more toughness regen and some warp damage? That's valid. That's good. Do I take these 15 raw toughness nodes? Because look, I have 151 toughness now, which means these generate even more toughness. But if I don't take these, I have 110 toughness. Ooh, that's actually a noticeable difference. Okay, wow. Do I take empathic invasion so that I don't have to worry about range damage when I'm fighting them? Do I take this for a critical hit boost and this so I can block forever without investing in stamina? And hey, look at that. No matter what choice you make, which by the way, I'm going to say this right now, none of those are wrong choices. None of those are wrong choices. Every single one of those is a valid choice with its own pros and cons. They're all real valid choices. But just by making one of them, you're out of talent points. So I really don't know what he means by, you know, I just don't know what he means when he says like, oh yeah, you always are going to have 5 talent points. I can't think of a single psyker build that has even more than 2 talent points. So let's make a gun psyker build real quick, just for the hell of it. So let's take this. Let's take this. Let's take this. Let's feel spicy. And then we'll grab this. So far we're following the exact same order that we did last time. So now you got to take this. We take this, then this. But remember what he said. You do always want this. So there's a skill point we got to spend. You always want this. You always want this. You always want this. You always want to go here. You always want this. We'll talk about it. I'm going to make updated build guides. Then you're always going to want to go like this. Oh, look at that. And then we always want this free damage. Hey, look, we only have 1 point left. So, like, where are we getting this 5 magical points you're talking about? I can't think of a single class in this entire game where you can make any build of any kind and you have just, like, 5 spare points to spend that you can't just think about where they really want to go. I genuinely can't think of a single build where that is true. For any class. I don't think there's a single build in a single class where you're just like, damn, I just don't have anywhere to put 5 whole skill points.
It feels like they get an extra 5 points or something, but somehow you always end up being like, I don't know where to put this.
That tells me your psyker builds probably aren't that good. If you're missing 5 critical skill points that you feel like you always have them left over, imagine trying to play Zealot, but with a restriction of only having 25 skill points. The build probably wouldn't work. Same for, like, Veteran. Or any class, really. Hey, here's a challenge for you. We call it the Mr. E Special. Make a build that only has 25 skill points and compare it to a build that has 30 skill points spent. And then say, wow, this is a huge difference.
This is a great one to put it in. It's just up to 20% extra flat damage and increases your peril increases. So nice choice there. Down here, this is the one for, okay, I don't want to use anything else. I just want to do these blitz abilities as my build. You do that. It's kind of whatever. You don't really see this a whole lot at the highest levels of play, but it's there.
You don't really see this even at the lowest levels of play. You only see this with people that are following a 9-month-old Real Asian Robot guide and just want to smite. Which, hey man, more power to you if that's what you want to do. But, like, I don't know. This just kind of sucks. Like, I'm glad it exists. It opens up quite a lot of playstyle options for Psyker, but none of them are particularly great. It's just fine, you know? Not everything has to be, like, super great and min-maxy. Things can just be fun.
And then on the right side tree, I like Disrupt Destiny. It's
some of you already know what's about to happen. And I'm sorry, Mr. E, but I have to do this to you.
Cool idea. It highlights an enemy, and you seek him out and you kill him. And if you kill him with a headshot using this talent, you get extra stacks. Here's my problem with it.
Okay.
As a base, it has a 4-second duration.
Oh, no.
And then over here,
Mr. E, no, get down!
here on the left, Perfectionism. You can get up to 25 stacks. Holy shit. Can you imagine? Well, no, you can't imagine.
Guys, it's a canon event. It's a canon event. I can't stop it. I'm sorry. It's a canon event. I just have to let this happen.
There is no way in fucking hell that you can kill enemies fast enough that you can kill your Disrupt Destiny target like every 2 seconds and actually get these stacks up. Here's my problem. As a base, it has a 4-second duration. And then over here on the left, Perfectionism. You can get up to 25 stacks. Holy shit. Can you imagine? Well, no, you can't imagine, because there is no way in fucking hell that you can kill enemies fast enough that you can kill your Disrupt Destiny target like every 2 seconds and actually get these stacks up to 25. There's no way.
I gotta let my homie Punk from the fighting game community ride on him.
You can't get any better, I promise you. The skill level you're at right now, you're there forever. You're trash. You can't get better.
I had to do it to him, guys. I'm sorry. When I heard that, I was like, who does he think he is? I was like, Kanye West. I was like, who does he think he is? You know? I'm sorry, guys. It was a canon event. I could not have interfered even if I wanted to. Perfectionism used to not really be all that usable. However, now, let's do some very basic math. You get 3 stacks on a headshot kill. The stacks go down every 4 seconds. So, what is the baseline to upkeep these stacks? Each stack goes down one at a time across 4 seconds. So -4, -4, -4, there's 3 stacks. That's all you can gain in 1 kill. That's 12 seconds. Are you really not headshotting the wall-hacked glowing blue guy that gives you toughness and speed for killing him? You're really not going to kill that guy at least 1 time in 12 seconds? Okay, what if you lose 5 stacks? Well, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4. Oh, you have like 20 seconds. So, just kill like 1.5 guys every like 20, 25 seconds, and you maintain these stacks forever. You should spend like 80% of the game over 15 stacks easily. Perfectionism is so much better than longevity now. I don't think longevity serves a purpose. I think longevity should make the stacks 10 seconds and give them another effect. Because I don't see any reason to not take perfectionism and double the damage gain that you get from Disrupt Destiny, which stacks with the damage gain you get from Scryer's Gaze, when you can have virtually maximum uptime on this.
The 25. There is no way. I have never been in a game where the Disrupt Destiny stacks or where the Disrupt Destiny targets were anywhere near like as accessible enough to like get that kill in time with only 4 seconds to work with.
I'm sorry, Mr. E, but I have to do this to you. I need to explain something about how this works to you guys. So, these guys can get marked with Disrupt Destiny. These guys can get marked with Disrupt Destiny. These guys can get marked with Disrupt Destiny. So can these guys, these guys, these guys, these guys, these guys, these guys, and these guys. These guys can't get marked. These guys can't get marked. These guys can get marked. These guys can get marked. These guys can get marked, and these guys can get marked. These guys can't, and those boys can't. So, like 70% of everything in the game gets marked. As soon as they walk within the distance that a mark can be applied, it automatically marks them. And remember, even if it marks some guy who's like behind a wall, you have 12 seconds to get 1 kill and like 30 seconds to get like 2 or 3 kills. So, and you're killing at this rate. So it's not like it's exactly the hardest thing in the world to keep these stacks up anymore. I mean, you can just kind of see for yourself. This isn't exactly difficult. Oh, also, just shooting the guy. Like, let's say the guy is marked. Let's say that guy's marked, but he's all the way over there. If you just, like, do that, you hit him, that refreshes the stack duration. Which means it's basically impossible to not keep these stacks up. Even if you got garbage tier RNG on the stacks.
That is a piddly amount of time. Thankfully, you can just go over in this right column here. These are exclusive, by the way. So you have to choose this one. You can't get that one if you do. It makes it 10 seconds. And these stacks only fall off one at a time. So if you get a full 15 stacks of this, you have 150 seconds before they all fall off, which is really good compared to you have 60 seconds.
Yeah, but even if they all fall off, you build them 3 at a time. So you kill like 5 guys and you're at 25 stacks. Like, so what's the big deal? I'm sorry, you kill like 5 guys and you're at 15 stacks. You kill like, you kill like 7 guys and you're at max stacks. Like, who cares, bro?
If you take this one, right, and they're going to fall off so fast you'll never get any appreciable stacks. So take this right side one. You don't really need any of these other stuff. You're going to stack them up pretty nice with that. Okay.
Okay, well, now I know why you think, now I know why you think you can't maintain 25 stacks. You've never actually played the build. Getting 3 stacks per kill is huge. You, like, always want to do that. And then the quell chance on kill is just a nice way to generate more toughness. People go back and forth all the time on if it's worth it. I think it is. You can make the argument it's not. No one's really wrong. No one's really right.
So that's everything I wanted to say about the talents. And remember, my big thing with this is you somehow always seemingly have extra talents left over. And
boy, if there was anything in this video to double down on, that was not it. I don't think you're going to find a single player who is like self-respecting in their build making that doesn't wish they had like 1 or 2 more skill points for every build ever on any class at any point. So saying that you finish an entire build and you're like, damn, son, I don't know how to spend 25% of my skill points, or sorry, 20% of my skill points or whatever, is just like, clearly your build must not be very good then. Like, there's no other conclusion you can draw from it.
Like, there's just stuff that just doesn't work for certain builds in here. All right. And then
And then he changes the music. Okay, we are reaching that point where this video is going to become a more traditional Tanner video, and I'm probably going to get loud because I can't help but get hyped for this. The song that he puts on is so ironically comical.
let us finally talk about the weapons.
Listen to it. It's like the Ave Maria shit from Hitman.
I'm just gonna talk about staves basically. Blade sword, force sword is whatever, and dueling sword is no longer exclusive to them. So RIP dueling sword being vet
Buddy.
or psychic
Wait,
exclusive.
just listen.
The staves. Here's again my problem with staves. If you were using a staff, you are precluded by necessity of time from doing any of these blitz abilities. You
Yeah, sure, whatever. We know you have this weird kink for
cannot
time.
smite and cast with a staff.
Yeah, I mean, imagine if you could, though. That would be so bullshit. That would be so bullshit. You would hate that.
You cannot head pop and cast with a staff.
That would be so bullshit. Imagine if you could do that.
You can throw some sails and then cast with the staff, but you can't do both at the same time, right? So you got to pick and choose.
Yeah, but you can't throw a grenade and shoot the plasma gun at the same time. You can only throw a grenade and shoot the plasma gun while you're waiting for it to cook. But after the time it's cooked and exploded, you've already thrown like 5 assails. So, like, what is the issue here? Like, have you recorded how long both of these actions take? And then, like, compared the time? Pulling out a grenade, pulling the pin, throwing it, landing, and then blowing up is about as long as it takes to pull out a sail, throw like 5 of them, and change back to your staff. So it's like, who cares?
And for most psychers, for almost all psyker builds, the right answer, and the strongest psyker builds, the right answer is just to cast with the staff the whole time. Because
yes, do one thing and never do anything else, please. Just sit there with your staff. All right, cuck. Time to go watch me fuck the boss, fuck your wife over here, and all you get to do is just, rub your staff. It's like, oh god.
unlike in Vermintide 2, where when you were playing Sienna, the staff user in that game,
At least JTC was right about everything he ever said about Vermintide. he might not be right often with Darktide, but he was always going to have that legacy respect for me for that. This guy clearly was not very good at Vermintide.
mage in that game, if you cast a bunch with your staff, you built up your heat,
True.
and then if you wanted your heat to go down, you had to vent.
Yes.
And if you vented, it would hurt your health.
Uh-huh.
So you would actually lose resources for doing it. So you had to find something to do while the staff passively cooled down.
In Vermintide 2, taking health damage allowed you to get your ult back faster. And using more ults was the strongest thing in Vermintide 2. Battle Wizard, dude, if Battle Wizard could dash every 2 seconds, you'd just win the game by default if they could do that. They would just dash, 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 dash. So, it was very common for Siennas with, like, bolt staves and, like, conflagration or whatever the fucking one name of the staff is that builds the fire pillars. They build up, they vent, they purposely vent away like 15% of their health, which builds their ult back faster. Then they build temp HP, because Vermintide did not have toughness. Vermintide, you would hit enemies and build temp HP. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It's temporary health that degrades. And in doing so, guess what? That is now just free health that is going away on its own. So you staff harder, vent, lose the temp HP, and in doing so, you get to use her overpowered staves even more, and build ultimate. It was common. If you would see Sienna, who has like half their health is temp, and you're like in an elevator or whatever in Vermintide, they'll cast purposely vent to take damage because the temp was going to decay anyway. Why not put it to work by building some ult back faster? So again, just like with the negative peril generation being actually low-key kind of bad in this game, venting to damage yourself was actually kind of good in Vermintide. But he doesn't know that because he wasn't super great at either of these games and he wasn't involved with the meta at all, so he just doesn't know, which is why he shouldn't be talking about the meta.
At a certain point, so you would get into melee and do other stuff. If that was the way it worked in this game, that would make so much sense if these didn't generate peril, right? So you would like build up your peril with these, and then you would be like, all right, I'm throwing out some assails in the meantime while it's cooling down. That would make so much sense. But right now, these generate peril, but then you can just vent it immediately with just holding down R, and it goes down so quick. So the right solution in 99% of games is literally just cast, cast, cast.
Okay, what if you're using the electrokinetic staff and you get ran down by like 15 broke poxwalkers in the back alleys of Detroit? Is that not a good time to say fuck the staff and pull out a sail? You know, it's just so, like, I can tell you've never been in that situation, and you've never been in that situation because you haven't played the class for a long time, and you haven't played the class for a long time because you only play it in this super boring way. It's an Ouroboros of ignorance.
event, cast event all game. Never put the staff away, just keep blasting. That's especially true if you are playing with, well, literally any of these. How many times have you seen a psyker just walk through the whole level just going with the Infernal Voice staff?
Not that often. But then again, I don't play with psychers who think sitting in a bubble and casting all game is the optimal way to play it, so maybe I'm just biased.
Or the Void Blast, they're just exploding, explosion, or lightning bolt, or just ball. That's all they do. It's really effective. That's literally all you get to do. And I wish there was more builds. There's only like 2 builds that can weave any of this together with this, and it's usually a
Bro, there are more builds! You just don't play them! This is like only eating one thing off the menu at a restaurant and saying, damn, I wish there was more things to eat, and everyone is like, dude, order something else!
Sail hybrids, a Sail hybrid lasgun sort of stuff.
There is! That's a thing! That is a thing! People do that! It's not the meta, but people do this! This is a thing! People do! Watch, look, boom, bam, bop, bang, boom, bing, bong, bing, boom, bam, bop, bang-a-lang, doop, dang, smack, stoop, zwoop, zoop, scoop, slam, diggity, dunk, bam, bang, boop, bop, bop, beep, bope, bang. There you go. This is a thing. People play like this. And then you know how they play like this? They do this right here. They pull this motherfucker out, and they just go like this. They go like boom, bam, bang, boom, bop, bang, bing, bong, and then go like boom, bang, bing, bing, bang, 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 bing, 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 shilling. Boom, let me pull this out. Now it's doing even more damage. Look at that. I'm getting headshot crits for like 500, and it's going down. I'm quelling peril. I'm letting the peril quell. While the peril's quelling, I'm doing this. Okay, the peril's quelled. Now I'm pulling this out, and this doesn't cost ammo. And now I'm doing this, and then I go back to like this. These builds do exist, you just don't play them. And you don't play them because you don't know about them, and you don't know about them because you don't play the class, and you don't play the class because when you do play the class, you only do this one thing with the bubble. It's an Ouroboros of ignorance.
But it's super hard to do with stabs, and that's sort of what makes them unique. So that's my problem with Psyker right now, is because their blitzes take so much time, and they're unique up ones, you really want to be using them because they're super effective, you just don't use the blitzes in all the good builds. And then for abilities...
But you do, though. You just don't use them all the time because they aren't a limited cooldown-based resource. You pull it out when you need it and use it when you need it.
One ability that's super, super impactful for the whole team. These other 2 abilities, your team won't even notice you use them.
Who cares? Who cares if they know? Are you like an exhibitionist? Do you want me to watch, like, as you fuck your wife or something or jack off, dude? Like, is that what you're getting at here? Why do you need to be seen?
And they give you a little bit of a benefit, but it's such a small benefit, it almost feels like Scrier's Gaze should be a Keystone instead, and it feels...
Oh my god. It's like Spielberg. Spielberg directed this. There's no way. What do you mean it should be a Keystone? What do you mean? What do you mean? He just said it's small. No, my dick is small. Scrier's Gaze is rather large. Scrier's Gaze is like the horse dildo in my closet. This is fucking shit. Cut this whole section. Scrier's Gaze is 20% crit chance and 30% damage. 20% critical chance and 30% damage. 20% toughness damage reduction, which stacks with this to give you like 50%. So it's like 50% toughness damage reduction. It's 30% damage. It's 20% crit chance, and it's 30% finesse damage, which is 30% more headshot and critical damage. So you're critting 1/5 as often. The crits are doing 1/3 more damage, which stacks with the headshot and then multiplies each other. So it's actually doing like 40% more damage. So you're doing like 40% more damage with your headshots. You're doing 30% more base damage, which these are multipliers, so they multiply that base damage on top of all those hits becoming crits, and you're taking less damage, which stacks with these 25 stacks. This is 25%, or I'm sorry, this is 50% critical damage, so this is 25% damage, 50% critical damage, and fucking 70% weak spot damage. And that weak spot damage multiplies the critical damage, which multiplies the base damage, which this is giving you 25% of, and this is giving you 30% of, and this is giving you 20% crit, so it's turning all your attacks into hits on top of making you take half as much damage. That's little? You think all that I just said. Oh, and by the way, while it's doing all of this, it's constantly generating peril, and this node is letting you constantly expunge that peril. So you're constantly proccing this, you're constantly proccing this, and you're constantly proccing this, and you're proccing these every single second you're doing that. That's little? That's little. You think that's little? That's deserving of being a Keystone? Dude, if I could use Bubble and Scriers and Disrupt Destiny, let's say we put Disrupt Destiny, I don't know, up here. So I can use, we put Scriers here and Disrupt Destiny here. So I take Disrupt Destiny, Bubble. Oh god, imagine if you could take Disrupt Destiny, Venting Shriek, Scryer's Gaze on the same build. That I can assure you, if someone made a mod that lets you do that and we played a game like that, you would have no, and I mean you would have zero fun. You would be complaining how boring this is.
Like Venting Shriek should be a blitz instead of an ability, right?
What? You said they're bad because they're not, like, impactful enough. Changing their position on the skill tree doesn't change the mechanics of the abilities.
Okay, so that is my overall thoughts on everything to do with Psyker. If you wanted a bonus build at the end, like I said already, I think the singular strongest build for Psyker right now
This is insane. This is insane.
is using the Void Blast Force Staff.
Okay.
You would choose the Brain Rupture with the Head Pop because you're not going to be using this at all.
Okay.
You'll choose Psykinetics Aura for that cooldown reduction. You'll
Okay.
either choose more cooldown reduction or crit, probably crit. You'll take
Okay,
the crit.
Oh, here it is. Here it is. As he's explaining the most master chef crafted shittiest build you've ever heard. Ave Maria. Like the ending of Hitman. Like he is on the altar right now. He is on the altar. He's looking up at the sky, and God was like, dude, you just uploaded the worst darktide video.
Causes soulblaze and increased crit
Yep.
as you generate peril
Oh,
blessings
yeah, it
on the
does.
weapon. And then you'll take one with the warp down here.
Mhm.
You'll take
Okay.
Telekine shield with the
Oh,
dome
boy.
augment. Then you'll go down here and you'll take this left tree
Oh,
with warp
okay.
siphon and in fire reborn. And you
Oh, and no synergy with Fire
come out here
Reborn.
and take soul drink or two with extra 5% crit chance.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna. So if let's say I did want to take this, I go here, here, here. So now I got to go here, here, here. I got to spend 3 points on this. Where am I getting those 3 points, dude?
Toughness regen, and that'll make just one hell of a build.
Bro, you guys know like the meme of the black guy like writing and it's like fire. You've got like the angelic choir while he's like burning the whole house down. Like he's cooking so hard he's burning the build. You know, the build is burnt. It needed to be taken out of the oven like 20 minutes ago. You know, you got like the angelic choir back here. Meanwhile, he's like ruining his reputation and announcing himself as the worst build maker of all time.
You can go through the whole level as long as you got allies in front of you to defend you. But yeah, when shit hits the fan, stuff comes in, just start knocking them down with the staff while your allies beat on them. And that's probably my recommendation for the best pop.
God, you could. I can't believe I'm saying this, but Smite would make a better build. Smite would do that exact. What you just described, Smite would do that, but it would give you more time to do that.
Possible Psyker build as it currently stands. So
That's the best possible Psyker build. Okay, all right, I'm gonna play this on stream. I have to play this on stream. There's no way I can't.
overall, Psyker, a good class, does a lot of damage,
Okay.
whips some serious ass, fun to play, and I love the unique class fantasy of it.
You think sitting in a bubble and throwing out void strikes is fun to play? That sounds like awful. Okay, all right, now it's time for my special message to this guy. Let me just write this down. 132. My special message. So it's no mystery that I'm a very controversial figure, and I am ultra autistic. I do not handle people very well at all. I have very little life experience dealing with people. I am not good. This is not my forte. So I have burned a shit ton of bridges with random people in the community that I've never even met without even realizing that I've done that. And now there's situations where people, there's a certain video, ironically enough, correcting your build, where like literally 80 of the 100 comments he got were either some variation of Tanner very good or Tanner retarded shitlord. And you are very close. You know, I made my bed, I have to lie in it. All I can do is try to be more kind going forward and just hope that people slowly let it go. That is all I could do. They are well within their rights to do that. You are not me. You do not have the resume of play that I do. You have not done any like challenges that people thought were impossible. You have not done hundreds of solos or duos. You have said it yourself. You are an average guy making average builds. So why the fuck are you toxic like me? Because there's one correct opinion in existence. No, but there is one best thing at any given time. There can't be 5 best builds, dude. There can't be. There can only be one best. And then right here, I would never delete a comment. That's funny. The only reason I know who you are is because I got like 7 people in my Discord that all told me, lol, this guy, I said he was wrong and his build sucked. And guess what? People were like, you know, and then their comments magically started disappearing. Oh, I meant to use this. This was my face when he was talking about Disrupt Destiny. Hold on, let me just delete some of this stuff. So you were an asshole in the replies to your own comments for the most part, but then in my comment section, you played it really nice. That's really snaky and two-faced. And then this is the one comment you hearted on this whole video. Lots of cope in the comments. You are not me. Don't take this as offense. This is just, I'm genuinely trying to give you advice right now. You are not me. You do not want to be me. Okay? You don't want to be like me in any way. I am not a people person. I unintentionally hurt and upset a lot of people with what I think is funny talking to the screen. And that's not good. I think I'm just making fun of a node, but then people are like, well, I like that node. I'm personally like a little mad that you said this. And that doesn't even occur to me until way after the damage has been done, and there's nothing I can do to rectify that anymore. Do you know who you remind me of? You know who you remind me of quite a lot. You remind me of this guy right here. This guy makes pretty good videos. He's like an above average Zealot player. And his videos are very similar. Listen to both of your voices.
Mine, it still does, but it's also almost 7 now.
You guys both have very smooth voices. You make builds that the average Guilo can use and enjoy and do perfectly well with. They are nice, chill out videos. You should position yourself to be more like Reginald, who is absolutely beloved by the community. Everyone likes and everyone respects him. Dude, even I recommend him to people who want more like fun Zealot builds. And this motherfucker plays Martyrdom and made a video dissing me. And I still recommend him to people because his videos are just that fucking good, okay? You do not want to be like me, where half the comments of build videos are like, lol, fuck that guy. And that's considering that I am one of the better players there is, if we're being honest. So I have a ton of knowledge. People, usually the general consensus on me is I am an idiot asshole that literally couldn't even socialize with a child if I had to. But he knows a whole lot about the game and you'll learn a lot if you listen to him. You don't have that going for you, like, at all. So, like, you know, taking this stance, deleting comments, and taking the stance of, lol, these guys are just coping losers, is very quickly going to make people despise you. They're going to say, he sucks. No one in the high-level tryhard sphere knows who he is. He has no experience with what he's talking about. He just says random shit that's wrong and misinforms people. And then he'll delete your comment if you point it out. And he'll probably be an asshole to you if he doesn't delete it. And I can show you exactly what I mean. Let me pull this video up. There are 2 videos that you need to see. You need to see these videos. Tide fixing that Zealot build, or that dueling sword build, or whatever. Gosh darn it. This is not good, because it's taking me a second to find it. But there was a person here. Let me just go in my YouTube history real quick. 2 people have already made videos effectively calling you out and saying, look, dude, you need to, like, chill. So this is Extreme Dre. He's a very good player, mediocre build maker. And I like this guy. I like this guy. Just reference. And look, Zealot crit assassin with duelist and cooldown reduction. I commented on this. I was going to make a video ripping into yours. And so this is one person that's not me that is saying, wow, this guy's build is really terrible. Let me just fix this. And this is another person who is saying, wow, that build is really terrible. Let me fix this. Both were uploaded on the same day. And I know for a fact, or well, about like 12 hours apart. And I know for a fact that these guys do not talk or know each other or anything. So this is two separate people independently deciding that your build was so bad that they were going to take the liberty of fixing it. Okay? So you are already on the path to hatred. You're taking a violent, hostile stance against people when you're wrong. I take a hostile, violent stance because I'm literally so autistic. I have doctors calling me to want to put me on new experimental medicines because they're like, this guy is that fucking retarded. He makes a good, like, scientific test subject. Okay? You are not that. You know, you don't have that, like, savant level of skill and understanding at the game for people to want to listen to you. So there isn't even justification to act like this. If you continue doing this, you are going to be in my situation, but even worse. People are going to say, that's the guy who claims to know what the best meta builds are, but only plays the class for 20 minutes, and then will call you a retard idiot for disagreeing with him and delete your comment. And you know what, Mr. E? The only thing that separates that statement from me is instead of saying he's an idiot who only plays it for 20 hours first and doesn't even play the build, he pioneered the build and theory crafted why it would be good. And there you go. And trust me, you really don't want to be in the position that I'm in.